Hello guys, today I'm going to be showing you a brand new hilarious gambit which will leave your opponents confused as we will turn the game of chess into the game of Tetris. So here we go, it's e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, so the Italian game, and here your opponent needs to play this move, pawn to h6. So the anti-fried liver defense, a super boring opening by black. So this is how we can make it more interesting. First of all, we will play pawn to d4, we need them to capture this, and then c3, we also want them to capture this pawn. This is basically a standard stuff that we do on this channel, get rid of the d and c pawn and follow it up with queen to b3, creating this nice battery against the f7 pawn. Now, having a look at the most played moves in this position, most guys will defend with queen to e7, which is what we are hoping for. And now we can simply recapture one of our pawns back. And in this position, most guys will play knight to a5, because they want to fork our bishop and the queen. And this is the position where we can surprise our opponents and just sacrifice a bishop. But it is not bishop captures on f7, nor it is bishop captures on h6. In this position we will play a very rare move that has only been played 45 times, which is precisely 0% of the times, and it is queen to c2, hanging our bishop. Yeah. So, of course, everybody will capture a free bishop, because why not? And in this position we will unleash knight to d5. So with this move we are hitting the queen, we are hitting the c7, which is a fork, and we are hitting this knight. So what to do here for black? Well, let's ask Mr. Stockfish. Mr. Stockfish, tell us what to do here for black, and the answer is black needs to undevelop their queen to d8 and just hang their knight back. And then black will have slight advantage. Well, how many people played this move? It was one guy out of 45 games. So I don't really think anybody will be playing this. That's not the human nature. Of course, black will try to hold on to everything. And the most played move is queen to c5, which is covering the knight and the c7 pawn. But it is not correct. Now the Stockfish will say that this is just a draw. But since we are down a piece, being a draw in this position means it is super tricky for white. And it is. Alright, so let's analyze this. So after queen to c5, we are going to continue with pawn to b4, hitting the queen. And the queen needs to stay in touch with the horse and also with the c7. So the only logical move would be queen to c6. But now knight to d4, harassing the queen even more. And it is in this position that I believe people may be prone to make mistakes, but there are only 2 games in the database, so it is, not scientifically proven. But getting inside of their heads, this is what they might be thinking. Well, my queen is under attack, I need to move it, which is false. I need to stay in touch at least with the c7, because if they capture the c7 pawn with their horse, I will be losing my rook, and I don't want that. So let me forget about this knight, let's just protect the c7, and the only move to do that would be to play queen to d6. But this is a losing blunder, because now we can kill them with bishop to b4. Hitting the queen, hitting the c7 with x-rays, hitting everything, getting just too much development for a cost of 1 light square bishop. This position is +5 something for white. This is just super winning. Alright, let me tell you what is the correct solution. The correct solution for black's problems in this position is once again to just give us back the piece. And the correct move is to play bishop captures on b4 with a check. So this hangs a bishop which we can capture with our knight. But now their queen is still under attack, so they need to move it, and they want to keep an eye on the knight, so queen goes back to c5. This forks our knight, so our response here is forced. We need to play queen to c3 to hold on to our knights. And as you can see already, there are some funny constellations forming on the board. Okay.
Still, the position remains really tricky for black to handle because we have some hidden threats, or maybe they are obvious for you, but I'm just a noob. Okay, our main threat in this position is to move one of our knights back to hit the queen, and actually that would force the queen away from their knight, which we could then recapture, and we will be up a piece and totally winning. So what they need to do is play either pawn to b5 to protect the knight, or d5 to protect the knight, or also knight to f6 works. And they are kind of lucky that knight to f6 works, because I believe that is like a natural move that people may be playing in this position. And the reason it works is if we would, let's turn on the engine here. If we would try to go for our plan and to harass this queen with something like knight to b3, now they can capture here, danger levels, they are now threatening our queen, and this is -6 as you can see. Let's just not talk about this for too long, you see. Knight to f6 is a move that they can play, but now we can get castled. Now they are no longer threatening to capture this pawn because we could just simply pin their knight and we will be able to play pawn to f3 and scoop up the knight on the next turn, which will be winning for white. What they have to do here once again is to play pawn to b5 or pawn to d5 to protect their knight. But I believe also a natural move for black to play in this position is to just get castled, yeah, because why not? But it is now already handing advantage to white, and will get even trickier because our idea is to go knight to f5 and we are x-raying this checkmate. So their knight on f6 is pinned right now, and let's say they will play now pawn to b5 or something. Here our idea is to go knight to d5, and we have now these two really powerful knights, and this is crushing already. If we turn on the stockfish, this is something like +8, and the reason is after something like pawn to d6 we can capture this knight, and poor black cannot even capture back because this is a checkmate in 2 moves. So this is just how tricky it can get if they get castled in this position. The correct move is once again pawn to b5 or d5. So let's have a look at d5, which is also a tricky variation for them. Now we can play knight to b3, hitting their queen, and they cannot move the queen anywhere. If they move it, then the position will be once again winning for white. They need to here find the only move, which is funny, but they need to just push pawn to d4, counter hit our queen, and it is a free pawn we can capture back with our knight. And in this position they can finally get castled, and the engine will say that this is totally equal. And then there is the last variation with pawn to b5, which is the stockfish recommendation. I believe this is the most correct move. And this is also a start of this really hilarious engine line. So let's just have a look at this. So after pawn to b5, we can now once again jump knight to f5. Here we are creating this threat of capturing this pawn. And if they choose to just get castle here, well, guess what? We can go knight to d5, and this is still super crushing. The engine will even recommend to just hang their queen for a knight. Alright, so what they have to do is to capture the pawn on e4, because danger levels, they need to counter hit our queen, like this. Now we have to capture on g7 to hit their rook. They cannot like move the rook because our bishop would capture here, and this would be like once again winning for us. After queen captures on g7, they have to find once again the only correct move, and it is queen to e5, protecting the rook with this x-rays. In this position, unfortunately, white has nothing better but to accept this queen trade. And now we will play knight to d5, not to threaten this pawn, but to create this nice Tetris-like structure. Yeah, so this is the point of our gambit, to get this on the board. But as you can see, the side effect of this is that we are threatening to fork the king and the rook, so they are forced to play king to d8. And now we can continue with this move, pawn to f3, harassing their knight. And here we are forcing a response out of the black. Do they play for L-shaped Tetris-like structure, or this L-shaped Tetris-like structure, or they play for this I Tetris-like structure? This is the correct solution. If they play for an L, they are lost, like the other L. Okay, so knight goes to c5. Now we can scoop up another pawn. And with this move we are once again making a threat, and we are threatening to come right back with the bishop, and that would be a check. The king would be forced to go back to e8, and then we would fork them with our knight like this. So once again black is forced to do something about this, and the best solution is to play knight to e6, creating another Tetris-like structure. Oops. Okay. After this, we can play pawn to f4, and let me tell you, the knight cannot move here. If they move the knight somewhere, let's say, I don't know, back to c6, we can now still play bishop to g5 check, and after they capture, we recapture, but now our rook is activated, and this is once again just better for white. So, if they are not able to move the knight, what should they do? Well, they have to find this counter-attacking move, bishop to b7, to hit our knight. And now we will play knight to f6, creating yet another Tetris-like structure. This time it is a square. So this is why I think this is a really funny variation, a Tetris gambit, if you will, creating all sorts of Tetris-like structure. And since this is the last one that I was able to find in this variation, this is where I would like to end this video. I hope you had some fun. I hope you will play this gambit so that we can add some more games to the Lichess database. And yeah, alright guys. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day, have fun, and see you later. Bye bye.